Good morning. Good morning and welcome to IFAD. Your Excellency, Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries from Uganda, and dear colleagues. I'm Adolfo Brizzi, the Director of the Policy and Technical Advisory Division here in IFAD, and it's really my pleasure and my honor to open this workshop. I must confess to you before I start that I will do something which I hate to do, which is to open a workshop on a topic which is very close to my heart and my interest, and unfortunately I will have to leave after my initial word of introduction. I had planned to stay with you at least part of the morning, but these days agendas are really terrible and conflicting, so I will have to leave, but I will try to come back either later today or tomorrow to follow your discussion, because this is really a topic which for us in IFAD has been really one of the flagship initiatives that we have had through the PARM, the Platform for Agriculture Risk Management, and has been working on this for the last 3 years or so, since the G20 initiative launched this with contribution and financing from our main donors, which are the European Union, the Agence Française de Développement, and the Italian government. So as you know, PARM has been working over the last 3 years or so in 8 African countries in collaboration with NEPAD and also with the GIZ. So we would like to really agree first on the fact that visibly the development community has come to realize how important managing risk is. These days, risk is all over the place. The more you turn and the more you talk about risk. And when we say risk, essentially we mean lots of things. But the bottom line is that we look at risk mainly because we want to build resilience at the farm level, at the community level, at the household level. And a way to build resilience is clearly to give communities which are most exposed to this risk, poor people that are most exposed to this risk, an opportunity to better cope, better plan, and better adjust when something happens, like a shock or a stress. And that's why agriculture risk management is so key for poor people, because they're the most exposed, either because they have less endowment, less access to finance, less access to information, less access to tools that will allow them to be able to confront these shocks and then cope and adjust. In fact, just to remind you that 2 years ago we developed jointly with FAO and WFP a framework for resilience where we try to devise a way to approach this broad spectrum of activities, which we call resilience, through the different strengths of the 3 Roman-based agencies. Because we do have different instruments, different mandate, different product, and resilience being so vast in terms of the areas that are being touched upon, it is important to have as many partnerships as you can find to be able to address these different mandates and areas of work, some of which may be outside the specific realm of what each individual agency will be doing. So I think there is by now a pretty broad consensus of how important agriculture risk management is. If anything, however, there is maybe less consensus or less consistency or harmonization of practices in terms of how to go about it. Meaning once you have accepted that this is important and you have identified a number of tools, how are we going to be able to bring these tools into a more harmonized methodology on really how to assess risk and how to apply them to specific programs, either at the macro level, at the government level, in terms of incorporation of these tools in their policies and programs, but also at the micro level in terms of what we do daily through our projects and the way we engage with our main stakeholders at the community level. And so there is clearly a lot still that we have to do and learn from this agenda, because there are still a lot of weaknesses, let's say, in the system. Might this be because of capacity building needs? Might it be because of information? Information and data is really key in this business. If you don't have quality information, whether it's climate, prices, markets, production data, it's very difficult to develop good tools to go about it. So it will be very important beyond the recognition of how this is important, and I think this is one of the main objectives of this workshop, possibly, is to move from a perception-based approach to risk management to something which is more comparing notes about how we have, each of us, been implementing these tools in a more evidence-based approach. So something that gives us a little bit more comfort that many of us have been trying different things, and whether we can bring this together to something which is more of a package that look at it in a more holistic way, and really to learn from each other. So the good thing about this workshop is that, as you may observe yourself, there is a wide heterogeneity and a wide diversity of audience. So we go from the macro level, whether it's government level or insurance companies like, well, not really companies, but initiatives like ARC, etc., that will be looking at risk management more from a macro perspective or the policy perspective. But we also have participants looking at it more from the perspective of what their development agencies are doing, or NGOs, more at the local level. And the spectrum being covered is also quite wide. I looked at the agenda and I see that we go from markets and prices to production and plant and animal health and climate and remote sensing and policy engagement, financial inclusion. So there is really a very broad agenda that all feeds in this concept of agriculture risk management. So I really hope that the discussion you will have in this workshop will help us bring this together into some sort of understanding on whether there is a way to harmonize different approaches and really learn from each other of ways that you have been handling these issues in your own sphere of responsibility, and whether we can learn and import some of these lessons into our daily work. So once again, I would like to welcome you in this for this event, and I hope that you will have a useful and constructive discussion over the next couple of days, and I hope to be back later or tomorrow to see how this is progressing. Just maybe to conclude, 2 words about the PARM initiative itself. The PARM initiative now is on its last year, and we are pretty much on track in terms of delivering the products that had been planned to be delivered this year in these 8 countries. Really happy that a minister from Uganda is here, because Uganda, if anything, has been at the forefront of the initiatives in these 8 countries. So it's probably the most advanced in terms of completing the assessment phase. And now we will be looking forward to what's next with the PARM initiatives in terms of either expanding the geographic scope beyond the 8 countries that we're currently working on, or possibly moving on to a more implementation phase beyond the assessment phase that we are about to complete in most of these countries. So of course this workshop could also help us build a case with our possible funders or new partners that would like to associate themselves with this initiative for how to do, how to go about the second phase of PARM that hopefully should happen, let's say, be towards the end of next year. Thank you very much, and wish you a good workshop and fruitful discussions.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to this workshop. My name is Maria Magdalena Heinrich. You can call me Marilena. I will be accompanying you through this knowledge sharing and learning journey today. I'm working for the Food and Agriculture Organization. I'm monitoring and evaluation officer for the strategic program on sustainable food systems. And this facilitation activity is something I do on a side. So, some of the objectives we have heard already for today, for the workshop, but I would like to just briefly go through them again so that we are all on the same page. We have 4 main objectives, which are, first of all, to define methodological guidelines for good agricultural risk management practices, and to look at how we can mainstream agricultural risk management into the project design, and also to look at how we can foster investments into agriculture. Our second objective is to share knowledge and experiences on agricultural risk management, and to look specifically at tools and initiatives that can help. So we will share knowledge based on specific examples and experiences. Also, we want to look at how partnerships and institutional arrangements can create opportunities for mainstreaming agricultural risk management into policies. And this is particularly relevant, therefore, that we have His Excellency here, also to see how governments can really take up the tools and the recommendations. And last but not least, the knowledge sharing on agricultural risk management among practitioners. So the scope is also to create a networking opportunity for you all to get to know each other and maybe to start new partnerships.